அடுத்ததாக எமது அடுத்த பேச்சை வழங்க வந்துள்ளார் மிஸ்ஸஸ் சுரையா டீன். இவர் ஒரு மிகச்சிறந்த பெண்மணி. பல விருதுகளை பெற்ற சர்வதேச ஆர்வலர் மற்றும் சமூக அமைப்பாளர், எழுத்தாளர், பாலின நீதி மற்றும் மனித உரிமை வழக்கறிஞர். Let's welcome Mrs. Soraya Deen. The floor is yours now, ma'am.
Nandri Subhanki, very beautiful. Sister Raji சொன்னா எனக்கு தமிழ்ல கதை என்று. நான் சொன்னேன் நான் தமிழ்ல கதைச்சா எல்லாரும் போயிடுவாங்க. I understand, but my Tamil is weak. அதுக்காக நான் இங்கிலீஷ்ல கதைப்பேன், மன்னிப்பு கேட்கிறேன். எனக்கு brother, I mean, having listened to brother Rajendran, I mean, not just me, but I think everybody here would have been moved. We need to clone people like him, clone them and install them everywhere. Because no matter how much we women stand and advocate for this challenge to end, we can't find solutions without men who will champion that cause. And I'm extremely grateful to listen to a true feminist, one who supports the welfare and the safety of women. He spoke about equality and respect, and that is very critical for women who are in this field doing the hardest possible work. So this topic is hard. It's very painful because the information we have about violence against women is very, very disheartening. 1 in 3 women experience violence, and less than 40% seek help. And of that 40%, less than 10% seek help from the law enforcement. As a certified non-violent parent educator, I grieve at the possibility that these are things our children watch. They say every year about 750,000 children witness domestic abuse. This is a systematic and social problem. So you can imagine why this problem is circulated every year. We get higher and higher numbers because our children are watching. And once they watch, however much you teach them, it is going to be hard because children learn by watching. You don't need to teach them a lot. So undoing the doing is where the difficulty lies. And today, I hope our call is not to speak more of the same, but to appeal to the men in our community, and to empower women to look at it in a different way. We need to do that not because we are weak, but we women, we have to remain strong. So we have to look at this problem in a different way, seek the help where it's necessary, and build strategic alliances and partnerships with organizations like Alliance Creative Community Projects, and women who come together to support other women who have been abused by domestic violence. Because oftentimes when a woman is harassed or victimized or treated with violence, what we hear saying is, if a woman is harassed, it's because she asked for it, because she dressed for it, because she walked for it, or because she spoke for it. Victim blaming has to stop. And who better and who else can change it? Otherwise us, me, and like-minded women like you. So I'm so, again, I want to stress how valuable this discussion is for me. And then let this not be another meeting where we came together to get along and just to speak. I think when we all leave, we have a mission. We have to do something about it. Even though my concentration is on gender justice and interfaith solidarity and human rights, I today, I mean, I wore even orange because I want to pledge renewed support for this cause. And I hope Sister Raji will hound me. She'll call me, and she and I will be in touch, because unless we have women who are experience love and compassion, it's going to be very challenging to break those ruptures. Gandhi once said, there's only one thing we need to learn about violence, and that is very simple, that violence will always hurt and non-violence will always heal. So what better truth do we need to understand and to teach this to our children, to the next generation? And going through this crisis in COVID, it's a pandemic. And I have to recognize, we all recognize, that's why we are here today, that the COVID is another pandemic. And we are finding a cure for this pandemic, that is domestic, this violence against women within that larger umbrella of COVID. Because you must all know the lockdowns have unleashed a shadow pandemic of domestic violence and femicide, according to the United Nations. They say violence against women uh, rocketed during the time of the COVID. And it is marked by an visibly increase in violence against women, especially in countries like India, Brazil, South Asia, and South Africa. Uh, so again, as I said, there are some Mother Teresa moments in our life. When Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace, she said, "Go home and love your families. That is where peace begins." So this is a Mother Teresa moment where I want to again reiterate a truth, that if we are to fight discrimination and injustice against women, we must start from the home. For if a home cannot be safe for a woman, there cannot be safety for her anywhere else. So I appeal on the men we know. We need to start giving that safety to our women. And I was listening to a YouTube presentation. I forget her name, forget this gentleman's name to attribute it to him. But I want you to track what I'm saying very carefully. When a woman is beaten, let's take the name of the man as John, okay, and the woman is Mary. At first they say John beat Mary, and that's truth. And the second phase they say Mary was beaten by John. Now John has lost the importance, he has gone to the very end. And the third phase of diagnosis, they say simply Mary was beaten. And the fourth phase goes on sometimes to say Mary is battered. Now, John is nowhere in the picture. And then fourthly, we conclude Mary is a battered woman. Now, see how the blame has shifted? It has all gone to the woman, and the person who perpetrated the offense is nowhere in the picture. So today, ladies, we have to commit to ask a different question. Why are men beating women? Violence is not a women's issue. Therefore, it shouldn't. Therefore, shouldn't men help us out? Stand with women, not against women. So my whole presentation, I want to focus on why men must speak up. Because when a man abuses a woman, both are victims. Men and women both become victims. And as I said before, if 750,000 children witness domestic abuse everywhere, every year, where is the purpose of our life taking us? When we look at our human construction, we wake up every day, and there are three functions we perform automatically: procreation, elimination, and digestion. That's in the lower level of our bodies. That is easy, folks. Nobody needs to think about it. It just happens. It's automatic. It's a daily function. But we as human beings, as individuals, as men who care about the women's welfare, and as women, we need to protect ourselves. We also have a role to play in that. We have to elevate consciously our thinking, our life, and our contribution. So we have to bring our energy level up to our hearts, to our voices, to our glands that are very functional and to our brains so that we can work towards different outcomes. Don't take abuse lying down. Dr. King reminds us that nobody can ride your back unless you bend it. And also to say evil prevails when good people do nothing. So these two have to work hand in hand. And this is not an unreasonable request. Adult men with power, they must speak up. So the crisis is not in not supporting. The crisis is in leadership. Leadership and the ownership of taking responsibility for this issue. It is not being a silent bystander anymore. If you see something, say something or do something. If you hear something, say something or do something. Because the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, we want to achieve goal number 5, that is equality and justice for women. And I think violence is a very, very derogatory, detrimental, dehumanizing thing to happen to a woman. So I want to look at it from 2 lenses, the root causes and some aspects of how we can prevent it. The root causes, because I'm a nonviolent parent educator, I want to attribute it to the upbringing, what children watched as they were growing up. And we somehow repeat our childhood experiences. And there's ample room for us to repair those ruptures. So I say, be a mindful parent and create that space in your home so that we protect. And as Brother Rajendra said, sama uruma madipu idu rendu naanga women ku kudukanum. And sometimes also religious belief systems, patriarchy, the supremacy of patriarchy has killed us. It is not just one man, it is a system. And oftentimes it's sponsored by states and organizations. So we have to understand and recognize where this violence is coming from. And there's race and ethnicity. In some races and from some ethnicities, violence against women are high. And educate ourselves. If this is a pandemic in my community, what can I do to stop that, to prevent that, and to cure that? And then lastly, but not least, men in power, especially men in high places, sports, politics, and places like that. They are also the root cause and often the perpetrators of violence. So we have to track them and we have to call them out. And let's talk briefly about prevention, because Raji said 10 minutes, so I have to keep to 10 minutes. And as the goal of these organizations, Alliance Creative Community Project. Oh my God, that's my 10 minutes. Okay, we have to educate women and girls. We can't be bystanders and we can't stand by, and we have to create a peer culture. Peer culture meaning we form groups, community gatherings where we all come together, and men must challenge this violence. And for women, I say, when violence first takes root in your mind, what problems does it solve? We have to be careful and not let it become a litany, a series of petitions, and not identify ourselves as the woman who was a victim of a violence. No, there's something more that we can do. We can change the way we think. It's hard. I'm not trying to discount it or underestimate your pain, but it's hard, but we have to do it. Because when we take that identity of I'm an abused woman, what we persist on the longest becomes the strongest. In the end, what hurts is not the violence of the man or the enemies, but the silence of our friend. So let us not dwell in the past, but let's create a vision for the future. Because 70% of our thoughts are negative and we recycle them. So I say, let's think new, because Horace Mann once said, life is too short and we must make a major contribution before we die. Remember, if you acknowledge and work towards ending this violence, it's your daughter who will take that baton and carry it forward. And I want to leave with these words. Helen Keller said, life is too short. eat dessert first. So there's so much more waiting for us, even though we are battered and abused, and we can do it. And let's build communities who think and work with us. Thank you.